Good morning. All right, so I'm out here with my water belt and I already see a little bit of a downside. Not trying to say it's an actual downside. There's no such thing. When there's details that we don't like that we want to change, we do that. So I had my water belt and I was drinking water and it's great, but apparently I like a super duper drained bladder when I am jogging. So I already have to pee, and I've had to pee like for the last half of the walk. So I adapted. Real quick and easy method. You take your water out of your handy dandy belt. I'll grab mine right here. One-handed. Grab the water, flip the top, and then you go ahead and take the water. And you clean your teeth. You can hold it in your mouth for a little while. Your mouth absorbs a lot of the moisture. Honestly, dehydration is something that builds up over days, not something that happens to you within a 4-mile jog. So you're not actually using the water to stay hydrated on your jog. You're using it to keep your mouth wet. So a really easy way to solve that without having the need to pee because you're on a quick jog. You're not on miles and miles and days hike with toilet paper in your backpack. You want to just go ahead and do the good old swish, gargle, spit, you can hold in your mouth for like 30 seconds or so. It's a great method for getting through your jog without getting dry mouth from breathing through your mouth mostly. I've just never been all that good at having aerobic abilities. My cardio has, ever since I was a child, I would walk the laps because I couldn't really jog. And I feel like it's still like a psychological thing because like if I needed to chase a dog, I could run for days and days, you know. But if I had to jog for PE, it was a walk. You could ask my teachers. It was probably very frustrating. I do jog walking now where I jog as much as I can, and that really does help. But also another thing that also helps me with my endurance when I do it is a breathing technique called body flex. That's actually something you can look up on Google or YouTube. There's videos. I don't use the one where she uses the bar or the equipment. I use the one where it's calisthenics, where she just uses freestyle. Greer Childress is the instructor on that, and I followed her since I was a teenager. It's also really good for flat stomach workouts. So that being said, I'll probably be including that and incorporating that in my 20 minutes of yoga per day. I'm also incorporating carbs. So I got the Kodiak Jack waffles and I made them with extra eggs. So there's 3 eggs in there instead of 1. And I used a little bit of the heavy cream and water. They ended up a little bit thick, I'll be honest. I'm going to eat them because I don't like wasting food, but I'm going to eat like 1 square per morning and have yogurt with it. I'm still not weighing myself, which is driving me a little batty, but I'll weigh myself at the end of the week. I'm trying to use that as motivation to keep working out as hard as I can, to keep using my 2 of 5, 2 of 3 methods as well as possible, and to focus mostly on how I feel versus what the scale says anyway, because at the end of the day I could weigh 5 or 10 pounds more based on how much muscle I end up building. And so, it really is based on pant size and my hunger, my cravings, my energy, the ability to, move things around, lift things, and incorporate that in my daily life so that I'm more functionally available to myself as I get older. I'm 43 years old. That's not going to slow down, and that's okay with me. Another thing that I decided to do, because I'm on a little bit of a cast iron kick, and I've been wanting to do sourdough girly stuff for a while, but I kind of combined it with another interest that I've been wanting to pursue for a while. I went ahead and got myself one of those sourdough bread kits, and I'll show it to you as soon as it gets here. I bought a 900-year-old live starter. These are all on Amazon, so it's like they're like the only ones of the kind anyway. I think it was like the Kona set was the cast iron set that I got. It's really nice. And let's see, I got the little basket and all the little toys with it and everything, so we can start making our own cast iron sourdough bread, and you call it the discard recipes. We're going to try that in the waffle maker to see if they're a little bit tastier, a little bit fluffier, less dense, and still as healthy I also like making shortbreads and things with almond flours and stuff. So we're going to be adding to our little kitchen in there. I've been, people always say, oh, I go to Europe and suddenly I can eat the flour there. And so I ordered French flour, and it was a T65 bread flour to go ahead and make into the sourdough bread. And so the combination of the two, we're going to be basically trying out different kinds of carbohydrates. This week, I guess we're going to go ahead and sample these Kodiak Jack. It's just regular flour, but it is like a high quality, high protein flour. And just see if that just doesn't make no difference, as long as I'm maintain, my hunger levels and stuff, just in case that was the reason and working out is the reason. And so carbs are not always the enemy. We always want to try to eat the most varied diet that is available to us, I think, personally. And if we have sensitivities to things, we want to alter or cut them out. That's one of the reasons why I use the restrictive diets. It's a self-study. So we're going to try that this week, is just the regular flour. And then when the sourdough kit comes and I figure out how to make a good loaf, we'll go ahead and switch to the French sourdough bread for probably like a week of just pastries and sourdough bread, but all in the French flour. So to test versus America versus European flours. I also want to try Italian, because I feel like I've heard the same thing about Italian flour, and it was a little bit cheaper. There were also a couple of different more brands. The French one, there was like one, but I saw it and I was like, you know what? My favorite bread, sourdough bread, is French sourdough bread. So might as well go there. Relatively inexpensive when you look at the recipe, just being flour, salt, and water. At the end of the day, especially considering my local bakery, I end up spending like $7 a loaf. So I think it'll at least be cheaper than that. Definitely more fun, something to do with the kids. I always like teaching them new things in the kitchen too. And hopefully good for the gut, all that other stuff. Hopefully good for the weight loss. And if it's not, it's something I can check off the list and go down to other things and other ways. This is what it's all about. Sometimes people talk about getting diet fatigue, and I feel like I get diet fatigue for things that aren't going to work for me, or things that aren't working for me. And I feel like that's when it's a good time to adjust things, just to keep monitoring things. If you go back and forth, that's okay. Just make a note. Thomas Edison it out. You didn't fail, you learned what not to do. And just tell yourself, kind of like I did with those those Danishes. I'm not going to do that again. And I didn't mean that I wasn't going to buy get another croissant. I was going to definitely do that, but I'm not going to buy another box of them. So we're going to try different little. I think what I'm going to do is make a sourdough almond flour shortbread, and then put like a ricotta cheese. There's like an Italian recipe for this where they put like ricotta cheese and then like lemon curd on top, and then they bake it and it turns into like this like creamy lemon curdy bar, which sounds absolutely amazing. And I want to know if I'm allowed to eat that. Anyway, here's to figuring it out. I don't know how I could possibly get tired with recipes like that. Cheers.